Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Nikhil, and a couple of others as well here. We'll just start in maybe another 1 or 2 minutes. We're just waiting for the others also to join in, and then maybe we can take it up. Thank you. All right, let me just get started. Meanwhile, everyone else also joins in. Good evening, everyone, once again, and thank you so much for joining us on a Saturday evening. I believe a lot of you all are already in your processes towards an MBA school, a proper B school as such, and you are vying to see how you can go ahead and ace that last step. So most of you all, I'm again assuming that you have had your entrance exams, you've given your CATs and the ZAT exam and MAT and a lot of other exams as well. I believe the CMAT is also due to come in very soon. So while you are preparing for various entrance exams, a lot of B schools, including B schools like Rishud and otherwise as well, have started to conduct their GDs and their PIs and their written ability tests. And as important as it is to score very high in your entrance exams, it is also extremely important to ensure that you are acing the second step. You're acing the particular step which has, let's say it has a sense where the B schools actually go ahead and pick you up on your qualitative skills. So first come, first serve, or rather, first things first, I want to check up with all of you. All your chat boxes are open. How many of you have given entrance exams? Or if you've given entrance exams, what sort of entrance exams have you given? If you can just quickly write it on the chat box, it will just help me align the entire talk as well. Yes, Aditya, Nikhil, anyone? Okay. Some of you have given the CAT, all right. What percentiles? Not that great. Okay, fine, okay. All right, let's look at other things as well. How many of you know about what a group discussion is? If you can just quickly again write on the chat box as to what you think of a group discussion. What are the particular things that you talk about in a group discussion? Or what do you understand by the concept of a group discussion? Or for that matter, a lot of these schools have replaced it with a written ability test. So you can even write about that. Yes. Anyone? Let me just check up. Okay. All right. Quite a few have a little bit of an idea, fair enough. So group discussion essentially is something that you all conquer in the second part of your entire selection process. Now, usually the selection processes in a B school hover around two aspects. One is your quantitative skills, and that's where your entrance exams come into picture. And the second one are your qualitative skills, where your group discussions, your written ability tests, your personal interviews, your case study presentations, discussions on the same thing. A lot of business schools also have options where you'll have to present. You need to send out a presentation, or you need to send out a video resume, and so on and so forth. So these are areas where your qualitative aspects are judged across. Before I move on with the entire thing, let me just quickly introduce myself as well. My name is Anju. I head the admissions and marketing at Rishud University. Rishihood is India's first and only impact university based in Delhi NCR, and we have, we do have programs within the MBA courses. We have M Design courses, and likewise. But that's not what we're here to talk about, or maybe we'll just talk about that towards the end. I'm also a career counselor, and I have been training students across various entrance exams, their GDPI segments, have done a lot of international consulting over the last 15 to 20 years. And these are students, and a lot of my students have studied across the best B schools in the country, as well as across universities like Harvard or a Stanford or a Kellogg, or even a Cornell University for that matter, at full scholarships or at partial scholarships. So that's just a background about me. For today's session, the way that I can sort of visualize it is I'm going to try and see if we can pick up a few case studies and pick up a few stories of companies, and you can decide on where to use them. We'll also try and what are the type of GDs that are available, or what are the type of, when I say GDs, it is equivalent to a written ability test as well. It's just replaced, fine. And we'll discuss both the formats, and post that we'll also think about what are the areas that you need to focus on when you're talking about a personal interview, when you're going and presenting yourself in a personal interview. What are the particular aspects that you can sort of keep in mind? Yeah. So any idea, anyone from here? I have Krishna, I have Nikhil, I have Nishi, I have so many people. Any idea with respect to what are the type of topics? I'm not saying what are the topics, but what are the type of topics that you see in a group discussion or a written ability test? Quickly on the chat box, guys. What are the sort of topics that you think come in a particular group discussion or come in a particular written ability test? Let me check out. Okay, someone said factual GDs, fair enough. That's good. Current affairs, okay. What else? What else? Anything else that you think is coming to your mind right now? Come on, guys. I hope everyone's active. Yes. None here. Okay. All right. So I have current affairs. I have factual GDs. Fair enough. There are also so typically group discussions are categorized. I'm not going to use a presentation. I don't like using presentations because then the focus is only on reading what is there in the presentation, and you don't really check out as to what the speaker is actually saying. So if you want to make notes, please feel free to make notes as well. There are a couple of topics, or rather a couple of types of group discussions or types of topics that come in a written ability test as well. What are these topics? Like one of you said that we do get current affairs GD topics, which is fine. There is also a particular, a particular type, which is the philosophy topics, or we call them abstract topics. So you have factual topics, you have abstract topics, and you also have generic topics. Okay. There are three major kinds of topics that you'll find, whether you're looking at a group discussion or you're looking at a written ability test. What are factual topics? If anyone would like to just go ahead and write down. Guys, yes, let's keep this more interactive. I do not like monologues usually. If you can just put on the chat box as well. What do you think are, I have Vaibhav as well, I have Isla, I have so many people out here. If you can just broadly tell me, what do you understand by a current affair or a factual topic? Or any examples of it that you think you can sort of mention? Okay. Someone's mentioned factual topics are typically where we'll have to obviously give facts. Yes, that's why it's a factual topic. Yes, a factual topic is typically where you are expected to put in your argument, or you're expected to put in points which are bolstered or which are supported by actual facts. So let's say, for example, if you have a topic like, let's say something like, is the economy of the entire world going through a crisis, or is the US genuinely in a certain recession period? So when this sort of a topic comes, naturally your answers can be yes or no, right? So you take one stance. Always please ensure that you're taking one stance. A lot of people go on to say that you can take a neutral stance. Aapko yes bolne ki zarurat nahi hai, you don't even have to say no. You can just take a neutral stance because you'll get both the points. You get positives as well and negatives as well. But that just puts you across in a situation where you are perceived by the management or you're perceived by the admissions team that you're not really clear with respect to, you don't have enough fodder, you don't have enough topics, you don't have enough pointers to actually talk about one thing. And that reflects badly on you. So please do ensure that in a factual topic, you're always taking a certain side. So you either focus on the fact that, yes, the US economy is stressed and it is going through recession, or no, it is not going through recession, it is not going through a certain, it's not going through a certain depression period. Whichever way it may be, you need to bolster your pointers with at least 4 to 5 facts there. So talk about the world economy, talk about how the growth rate in the particular country has gone up or gone down, whichever way that you're planning to go ahead. Talk about how the industry is functioning within these things. For these, there are a lot of material available online. You could also, there are a lot of these competitive books that prepare for you. A lot of discussion forums like Pagal Guy, like a lot of others as well, or Quora for that matter, where you can actually find a lot of content that is written by people across all of these topics as well. So start building that content. A factual GD or a factual WAT, you cannot maneuver around it, you cannot go around it without facts. You have to mention your facts, and your facts have to be absolutely bang on. So if I say that Bollywood, is probably one of the world's largest consulting agency, because there are so many jobs, so many people who consult regularly within the Bollywood arena as well. And if I quote a particular data saying that the entire worth of Bollywood is almost $3 trillion, then I should have those facts necessary with me. All right. So that's when you do a factual reading. At the same time, please understand, in a group discussion, you usually have 6 to 7 people, or you usually have in a written ability test. Of course, you are there and you're the only one who's going to be writing. But then in a group discussion, आपके पास 6 या 7 लोग हैं जो एक particular group में हैं. So what are the things that an admissions person like me, I've been interviewing students, again, like for the last 15, 20 years, not just for business schools or not just for universities, but also for companies. Also, when people come in for hirings, I've hired for Goldman Sachs, I've hired for a lot of other elite tech and non-tech companies as well. Now, if I look at these particular interactions in group discussions, then what is it that I'm actually looking at? I am probably looking at qualities of communication. How good is your communication skill? So agar aapka communication skill acha nahi hai, then you will have to go ahead and start, focusing on developing very, very clear and concise communication skills. Communication skills, again, as a myth, a lot of people think that communication skills means that I use very, very big words. Fine. Mujhe Shashi Tharoor nahi banna hai. Please understand. There is no need to become a Shashi Tharoor. There is no need to use extremely high-ended language, right? You need to use the right language. You need to use grammatically correct English. You need to ensure that whatever you're writing, whatever you're talking about, you have a certain sequence and it is logical when you're talking about it. Of course, in a factual GD, you'll have to mention facts as well. But the way you say that, the way you communicate, the way you articulate your points, that is what is going to be of most effectiveness for you in a group discussion. Then secondly, what are the other things that you are looking at? What is your confidence? It probably is very easy for you to go ahead and talk when you are in a group of friends. But if you are in a competitive group where the others in the group are also people who are competing for the same role, they're competing for the same admission seat, and so on and so forth, how confident are you in interacting with those other group members? How assertive are you about your own points? I think these are things that will also be checked. We will also be checking on how open-minded are you. So if there is a shift in perception, classic case, if you have a topic which you truly believe in, and there is another person who's talking the exact opposite, how do you deal with that? So how do you handle diverse points of view? That is one skill that we will obviously check. We check on if there is a very strong discussion, which is a very opinion-based discussion. How flexible are you? How rigid are you? What are your leadership skills? How much initiative that you take? So usually people would say that in a group discussion, you must try and see that you start the discussion. Starting is always the problem, right? Starting is always the problem in the sense that people, when I throw out a question at you, if I throw out a question at you saying, is, Caterpillar is the transformation between caterpillar to a butterfly, the journey of caterpillar to a butterfly, is change painful or necessary? If I have to ask you this question, then what is the way that you deal with it? How do you talk to your members? What are the pointers that you need to put in? All of these will be there. Now, if I put up this particular topic in front of you, ho sakta hai, a lot of you may not take up the opportunity immediately to talk and say. Immediately, you'll not take up something to say that, okay, fine, I don't know how to talk about this, I'm going to hesitate. So if you are the one who can initiate and who can start off talking about this, just understand the topic a little bit. The topic says, caterpillar to butterfly, is change painful or necessary or both? Now, when I talk about this, obviously you're talking about change. You're talking about how the entire process of change happens to be. So when you're talking about change, what are the facts that you talk about? What are the particular case studies that you can feature in? All of this content, how qualitative is your content when you're talking? These are, again, other aspects that we will look at. There are skill sets of problem solving. There are skill sets of analytical abilities. How do I analyze you? How good are you at making a decision? How is your social behavior? How is your common courtesy? So, for example, अगर आप एक group discussion में हैं and let's assume that someone's talking and you're like, okay, fine, this person is going on and on and on. Let me try and see कि मैं तुरंत एकदम से, let me just cut it off. So if I cut the person midway, or if I'm talking, if someone is giving their pointers, but I'm barging into the particular point and I'm giving my pointers, these are not courteous things, right? So you let the other person finish, not too long. Yes, if you figure out that the other person is talking for too long, you can interject somewhere, but not very abruptly. So how do you behave socially in a particular group? These are also things that we are going to look at when we are evaluating you for a group discussion. Now, how do we evaluate this when there is a WAT, when you have to write a written ability test? A written ability test is all about your content, your presentation, your structure of your entire content. आप किस तरीके से उस पे लिखते हैं? How do you write? How do you start? What is your body? What is your main part of content? How do you conclude the entire argument? All of this entire structure, structurally, it has to be good. Which means you talk about all positives, then you go to negatives, then you find a conclusion. So you have an introduction, you have a positive, you have a negative, you have a conclusion. So how are you writing this? How creative are you in writing? Do I just start saying, do I just start a topic with just plain, okay, fine, this is the topic, blah, blah, blah. Do I write it like that? Or maybe can I be a little creative? And can I start an essay? Can I start a written ability test with a question? Or with a synonymous situation जहाँ पे हम एक scene, एक movie का scene type का हम बना सकते हैं. Can I make a creative out of that, or can I creatively write it as if it's a conversation between two people, and through that conversation you're bringing out the essence of the topic. So creative writing becomes a very, very important part of your WAT or your written ability tests. Now this is one part, and like I mentioned earlier as well, going back to where we started, we do have one type, which is the factual topics, where you need to put in your tops. Fair enough. Then you have something which are, so factual topics usually have current affairs, usually have topics like, let's say, one of the trending topics today is Chat GPT. I'm sure, have you all heard of Chat GPT? Yes, no? Anyone on the chat box? Guys, come on. We can't be going a monologue everywhere. Have you heard about the word Chat GPT? I'm going to put it on the chat box. If you had heard about it, please do respond to me on the same thing. Have you heard about the Chat GPT? Or have you used it? Yes, no? Anybody? Okay. I have a couple of, yes, Naina says, yes, we have heard about Chat GPT. Fantastic. So it's a trending topic. Everyone's using Chat GPT nowadays. You are finding people writing, pulling out content by content using Chat GPT very frivolously as well. So what are the pros? What are the cons? How do you present it? So if someone says, is Chat GPT the end of all content writing problems for the world? How will you go about it? So these are topics, for these particular topics, you'll have to mention your facts in place. How much traction does Chat GPT take in? How many people are actually viewing that site? How many people are actually accessing that site? So this information is something that you'll have to find out and mention, right? Then there is a topic which is called as an as more business oriented, as more economy oriented. We discussed a certain topic sometime back, saying caterpillar to butterfly is change painful, right? So I'm just going to write this as well, so in case if you want to copy this. There's a very common topic in a lot of these schools, and change management is something which is sort of, let's say, not avoidable. You can't avoid it. You'll have to go through change as well at all times. So there are various topics that surround this particular site as well. So change is necessary or painful, right? Now, if this is your topic, can someone tell me what are the pointers that you can talk about? This is a generic topic, okay? Even if you don't have facts, but you can have stories to showcase this, you can do that. But can someone tell me what are the sort of pointers that you can mention in this? Yes? Again, if you can just quickly take to the chat box and write down your answers. Caterpillar to butterfly, change is necessary or painful, or if I can add another dimension, or both. We can talk about change as in, all right, Nikhil says we can talk about change as in change in oneself, all right. What else? Guys, please understand, you're not going to have too much time. In a group discussion, you'll overall have not more than 20, 25 minutes, maybe 30 minutes across, say, 5 people or 6 people, which means you have per person only 5 minutes. Usually there is one round, first round, and then another opinion round where you discuss it, right? So you won't have more than 2.5 minutes per particular topic for you to talk about. So what will be your opening argument in Caterpillar to Butterfly? Please remember, you are applying for a B school, you're applying for a business school. So naturally, if your answers and if your examples are more related to the corporate, are more related to the companies, are more related to business, it will help you a lot. So very simple example for Caterpillar to Butterfly, and you can use this across various topics. Please feel free to try and see where you can adapt the story and use it. This is the story of Bajaj. This is the story of Bajaj Autos. Bajaj Autos has been a very famous, I'm sure all of you all know about Bajaj Autos. Bajaj makes a lot of bikes, a lot of financing options as well. But typically Bajaj Autos was always known for its scooter, right? India mein Bajaj scooters were so famous that 97% of the market share was with Bajaj. There was a time when Bajaj used to have a 10-year waiting period, which typically means that if you had to buy a scooter when you are 18 years of age, your father should have booked that scooter when you were 8 years of age, fine? So that was the length, or that was how long the entire waiting period was. And Bajaj was in this sense that I don't need marketing at all. Mujhe marketing ki zaruri thi nahi hai. We're such a strong company, we don't require marketing, we don't need to sell out, we don't need to tell people about us because people already know. The joke around that time used to be that Bajaj is something which is, the tagline at that time, particularly for that, for the scooters, used to be Hamara Bajaj. And the joke would be that when a child takes birth, वो पैदा होके मम्मी बोले या पापा बोले नहीं बोलता था, हमारा बजाज जरूर बोलता था. So he used to be someone who was so intrinsic. The entire country was so particularly updated and obsessed with this brand called as Bajaj scooters. All of this beautiful hunky-dory situation was going on for Bajaj until 91, 92. 91, 92, a beautiful concept came into the country, or rather, the then finance minister opened up, Dr. Manmohan Singh, the then finance minister, realized that India as a country is a very young country. We have the largest youth population in the entire world. Our average age is around 24, 25 years of age. And with such a large population who's employable, who's young, and who can go for workforce, we do not have enough opportunities. So in 91, 92, Dr. Manmohan Singh opened the doors of the economy to outside players, to people, to companies that were set up outside, to companies that were from different particular countries. And hence started this chain of companies that started coming in. So you had in the motorbike area, you had companies like Kawasaki, you have Suzuki, so many particular, Japanese and Korean and Tokyo particular agencies and companies that started to come into the country. Now, what happened to Bajaj? If you are a 25-year-old, and again, I want all of you all to have your fingers on your chat box and let me know, if you are a 25-year-old and you are getting your birthday gift, and you have two options, you can either take a Bajaj scooter. It's sturdy, form and function is there, your parents know about it, family knows about it, everyone knows about it. So you either take that, or you can go ahead and take up a Kawasaki bike. Which one will you choose? Again, imagine yourselves that you're a 25-year-old youngster and you have to buy a two-wheeler. So you have an option to get a Bajaj scooter or a Kawasaki bike. Which one will you go, Aditya? Which one will you pick up? If anyone could answer, Kawasaki bike. Fantastic. Anyone else? Krishna, Nayana, Nikhil, Advik, anything else? Anyone wants to go for the scooter? No, I have all options, all particular answers for Kawasaki. All right. Yes, of course, you're going to go for a Kawasaki bike, because as compared to a scooter, pat, awaaz nahi aayegi. It looks much more classier. There's a lot of style, there's a lot of form, there's a lot of function. Plus the fact that my bike will be an international brand. It is an extremely strong pull for the same thing. Now, when this happened, naturally, Bajaj Autos faced a huge slump in their sales. And right from 97% of the market share, they came down to almost 62-63% of the market share, because the entire market was being taken over by bikes which were from international brands, and they were coming in and appealing most to the youngsters. Now, this was the time when Bajaj thought that it is time for us to change. We need to go ahead, we need to market, we need to we need to innovate, and we need to look at our products in a different way. We cannot no longer go ahead with the thought process that my functionality of my product is very strong, my form is very strong, and therefore I will continue with the same thing. So what did they do? They laid over a lot of people. They gave a voluntary retirement to a lot of their employees. They skilled them and then sent them back to the industry. But having said that, they did give voluntary retirement to a lot of employees of theirs. They had to cut corners. A lot of workforce was culled down so that they could do more work with limited people. And they went ahead to go ahead and create the product called as the Bajaj Pulsar. Definitely male used to be the branding tagline. Then a company which did not require marketing actually had to get into talking about itself to the entire world. Bajaj Pulsar came in beautiful, stylish, extremely sturdy, and at the same time came with the promise of Bajaj. But for this entire process, Bajaj had to go through a lot of transformations, a lot of change, and therefore change is necessary, it is painful. And why do we talk about caterpillar to butterfly? If you want, you can relate this to it as well. If you've ever noticed the transformation from a caterpillar to a butterfly, it's a very beautiful transformation. And how is the process? A caterpillar, when it is becoming a butterfly, the beautiful, colorful, gorgeous butterfly, the caterpillar goes through certain processes. First, it loses its limbs, it loses its legs. Second, it goes blind in the eye. So it goes blind, it loses its limbs, and the body of the caterpillar bursts into pieces, and then the wings emerge. 90% of the caterpillars in this process will perish and they will die. It's only 10% who actually go on to become the beautiful, gorgeous, vibrant, colorful butterfly. And that is synonymous with companies who've been able to manage and who've been able to grow and innovate at constant times. And thus, if you have to become an outlier, if you have to become a company which is leading in its own way, you need to be someone, you need to be an organization that is ready for change, that is open to change, and that is open to new ideas. This is also a particular quality that is looked at for in future management aspirants. So when you all go for a group discussion or when you all go for a written ability test, this is one quality that we are going to check. And that quality is, how curious are you? How innovative can you be? If I give you a problem, what are the ways in which I can think about this? All of these are part of your skill sets that we will check. And if you have topics like this, you can obviously go on to give a lot of case study discussions, a lot of stories like these that can ensure that your conversation is interactive, your conversation is extremely engaging, and at the same time you're also able to make your point. Okay, so that is one. So we've spoken about factual GDs, we've spoken about topics which are generic. The third part comes in, which is abstract topics. Okay, now, any idea what are abstract topics? Can anyone just quickly put it on the chat box as well? What are abstract topics? What do you understand by them? Yes? Yes, guys, go ahead. What are abstract topics? क्या हो सकता है? Just think through, no? If I've given you an abstract topic, what do you think that these topics could be? Anyone? Okay, can't understand abstract topics. All right. An abstract topic is clearly very abstract. It could be out of the blue. It could be something which is, for example, one of the topics that was asked in XLRI, Xavier's Labor Relation Institute in Jamshedpur, one of the best in the entire country. This abstract topic was called zero. All right, the topic was just a zero. Similarly, I remember in one of my previous tenures, we had given us an abstract topic to a group, which was just a dot. So we drew a dot on the board and we said that that dot is your topic. And that is what you're supposed to talk about. Now, what do you go about in abstract topics? How do you approach these abstract topics? Any ideas? Yes. Shahid, welcome to the session. Yes, any ideas? What do you talk in an abstract topic? What happens in an abstract topic? Guys, it's an abstract topic, right? Which means it is open to your own assumptions. It is open to your own understanding. तो आप zero को कैसे भी देख सकते हो. Fine, you can look at zero in multiple ways. You can look at zero so you can talk about the fact that India was the first one to introduce the concept of zero. You can talk about why zero is the start for everything. And that is why companies need to think about zero to scale up, zero to growth as well. So there are multiple ways in which you can perceive an abstract topic. And I think it's more fluid. You will have a lot of time. You can have a lot of facility to look at different aspects and talk about them as well. So that becomes your abstract topic. So these are barely, broadly the three kinds of topics that you'll have. How can you go about preparing for them? There's only one way. Please look and search for as many topics as you can. Google is full of, you have Google Baba at your behest. You can just put in the current Google, the current trending topics, and you'll probably find 45 websites with which each of them having 80 to 90 odd topics. How can you prepare for them? Start by jotting down pointers. Take 2 minutes for every topic and jot down the sort of pointers that you have. And mind you, you have to be extremely, extremely well read for this. I'm putting in a couple of books here that can help you with respect to preparation for a GD. One is The Elephant, Tiger, and the Cell Phone. This is one of my personal favorites and is a book by Shashi Tharoor. The other book is 0 to 1. And what else? I think these two to start with. Also look at a lot of non-fiction books, because these non-fiction books will be the ones that will help you prepare for GD topics across. There are also certain websites that have curated how have group discussions happened across the years in various B schools. Please go ahead and read up on GD journeys, your body language. Please ensure that when you're going for a group discussion or a personal interview, you are dressed well. And dressed well does not mean casuals, it means business formals. Fine, so whether you're opting for Indian formals or Western formals, for men, mostly Western formals. For girls, you can have both Indian or Western formals either ways, but you need to be extremely, extremely prim and proper with respect to your etiquettes, your basic etiquettes, basic manners need to come in, right? So that particular part. Similarly, when you're giving in an interview, if you're constantly someone who keeps moving their leg, trust me, as an interviewer, I will notice that and I will know how much you are getting nervous within the situation. So then I'm judging you on the fact that in an interview, how does your expression change? If I put you in a spot, ask you a very tricky question, how does your facial, particular expressions change, and how much do they get into stress? These are certain aspects that we will also check in. So GDs and PIs are not just about knowledge that you will go ahead and display. These are a lot about your understanding of the particular system, your understanding of stress, your management of stress. These are the aspects that are mostly curated in this thing. And with that, I'm going to open the doors for any questions. If you all have any questions right now that you're facing, you can use the Q&A box to put it across. Meanwhile, let me just take a quick minute to introduce you to Rishi Hood as well. Rishi Hood is India's first and only impact university. We're based in Sonipat. very close to Delhi. We're a residential campus, about 25 acres. And one of our very stronger programs is the MBA course that we run. It's a 2-year, there are multiple options for students. So you can either go, if you're a fresher and you're looking for a proper management degree, then you can look for the MBA program, which is a 2-year residential program. There are very interesting things. So at Rishihood, we believe in integrating technology with a lot of other things that we're doing as well. So I took out the example for ChatGPT. Some of my students are currently doing a research, management students are doing a research on how ChatGPT can actually change the way guys write content, how students study, how researchers go ahead and present papers, and so on and so forth. At the same time, we also have a cognition and learning lab on campus, which uses concepts of neuromarketing, which uses concepts of neuropsychology, so that you can understand a customer better. So if you're doing finance, then you should have behavioral finance. You should understand how someone's behavior changes. And on that note, another book that comes to my mind is The Psychology of Money. You should read this if you have any interest in finance, or just for general knowledge and preparation for GDs as well. This is by Morgan Housel. Yes. So you can check up these particular books as well. They're really, really helpful. So there are multiple ways in which you'll be able to generate your interest within those 2 years as well. You have options in finance, marketing, HR. You have programs in international business. You also have programs in entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is one of our strongest key focus areas. We would like to have all of our students become entrepreneurs, either immediately after the MBA program or maybe after 2 years. And there's a very strong focus on entrepreneurship. There's an incubation fund of about 5 CR. We have a lot of mentors. We have, for example, the Zoho Corp's Sridharan would come in and sort of give a lecture to our students. So likewise, there are multiple people who are there who come in, who are mentors, who are venture capitalists, who are also industry speakers who come in. In fact, we're very happy that for a young institution like Rishihood, we have someone like Motilal Oswal, who is probably India's finest finance guy. He's one of the top-notch financial honchos in the entire country. He runs a firm called Motilal Oswal Investments, and Motilal sir is actually a part of Rishihood's founding board. He advises us on our MBA programs, he interacts with students, of course, a lot of internship and placement opportunities and so on and so forth that come in as well. So it's a lovely ecosystem where you can get to experience, and I would ask my colleague to probably just share across the other details of applications and so on and so forth. We are looking at inducting students. Now, if you are someone who's interested in public leadership, you want to get into areas like, let's say if you want to get into areas like maybe politics, or you want to get into governance, you want to get into external affairs, or you simply want to become a leader in the policy area, then I think you should look at the 1-year postgraduate diploma in public leadership. It's a very robust program with outcomes in all of these areas as well, but we need 2 to 3 years of work ex for these particular students to come in. So those are the 2 programs. Applications are naturally open for the entire cohort. You can apply at our website, which is, let me just pull down this as well. Yes, I've just mentioned the website link there. You can go ahead and start your applications, and my colleagues will be ready to help you with Express 2, whatever are your, outcomes that you're looking at within the MBA program as well. The application fee for Rishihood is 1,000 rupees. But since all of you all have taken the time and pain to actually attend a session in the evening, we are inviting students to join us for the application with a 50% waiver. So you can apply codes. The codes are there on your chat box right now. If you have not received it, let me just quickly copy this as well. Just give me 1 minute. Yes, and you can look at the applications. My colleagues, Jasmine, Nishi, Saurabh, these guys will be the ones who will be talking to you on a regular basis to try and understand what your outcomes are, what are your goals, aspirations, and then we can see whether you wish to go ahead. Guys, GDs, PIs, personal interviews also for that matter. Personal interviews, if you need to look at them, please look at them as an opportunity to get to know the university well. I always say this, and I've trained more than 10,000, 20,000 students across my life. Let the college first select you, fine? So there are certain parameters with which you should use, there are parameters that you should think in mind before selecting a good university. Be number one, of course, what are the approvals? What are the accreditations? It is the government. Is it something which is approved by the government and you don't have any issues, regulatory issues? Number two, where is the institute located? Where is the organization located? If you go to a place like Jamshedpur, if you go to a place like Durgapur, if you go to a place like Jharsuguda, these are places where there are no industry. But Delhi NCR, Bombay, Bangalore, Pune, these are places which have a very strong and thriving industry. You have a lot of opportunities for industry interface. You have a lot of opportunities where you can interact with companies on a daily basis and then come through as well. So I think that geographical location is extremely important for you, and you must keep that in mind. Thirdly, how diverse is your cohort? Who are the people? Please understand, MBA is all about networking. Your network is your net worth. So you have to ensure that you're networking well with your peers amongst the particular group. So who are these people? Who are your peers? Who are the guys who are coming in and studying with you? I think those are aspects that you need to focus on. So please do get to know that. For example, at Rishihood, we have students from more than 25 to 26 states and international students studying together in a residential campus. 70% of your learning happens outside the classroom through assignments, through live projects, through so many other things, right? So if you're not getting, if you're going to be in a college which has got everyone from the same place, then naturally you're not really, building upon it as well. So be mindful of the institution that you're going ahead with these particular parameters, your location, affordability, what is the sort of process? Do they have a 1-year program or not? And I'm not saying this because Rishihood has a 1-year program in PGDPL. No, because if you look at the Indian ecosystem, we have more than 4,000 business schools. We have more than 4,000 business schools which offer an MBA or a PGDM or likewise. But out of these 4,000 business schools, we do not have more than 30 to 40 institutions which offer a 1-year program. Now, a 1-year program is typically targeted towards WorkX professionals, which means, for example, in the 1-year postgraduate diploma in public leadership at Rishihood, my youngest student is around 24, my oldest student is 44. And anyway, there are people, the average age is around 26, 28, 29. Now, what happens when you are a 2-year program student and you're sharing space with this 1-year guy on campus? This is your network that you need to understand. Please remember, your college can get you the first job, but on an average, an individual changes jobs at least 5 times. And if you are one of those individuals, for your second, third, fourth, fifth jobs, it is your network, it is your peer group in your campus that will help you. So it's very, very important to identify these 20, 30 colleges and then ensure that you are applying to any of these programs. Once this is set, make a list of 5 to 6 universities or 5 to 6 institutions that you want to apply. Apply for all of them, go through the process, take the interview rounds as a way of knowing the institute better, get to know who the faculty is, get to know who the students are, get to know all of this. Once you're fairly convinced about the university, and let's say out of 5 universities, maybe 3 shortlist you. If all 5 shortlist you, there's something wrong with your choice. So maybe 3 of them shortlist you. And once these 3 shortlist you, then look at which are the organizations that are giving you more scholarships, where is the affordability, what is the location preferences, and so on and so forth, and then take an informed decision. There are more number of students who've done bad MBAs, who've done MBAs from horrible institutions and have really, really made a mess out of their lives. I'm better off that you wait to do the right MBA rather than just getting into any random thing possible. Please remember, one of my ex-colleagues used to say this often, that MBA is like marriage. You should do it late, but you should not do it wrong. So you need to remember that, keep that in mind. And with that process, go ahead, apply for your universities, and then check up how you can do. And now, in case if you all have any other questions, please do put in across the chat box. I'm also just mentioning my details, my email ID, as well as my contact details. So in case if you need any particular assistance with respect to understanding which B schools to go for, how do you go with the application processes at Rishihood or otherwise, please feel free to drop in a WhatsApp, and I'd love to take your views on the same thing. Yes, guys, with that, thank you so much. And if you all have any questions, we'll just wait for a minute or so in case if there are any questions coming up from students, and then we will sort of get into the question part. You can use the chat box, you can use the Q&A box as well to answer out or to ask out any questions. Okay. All right, I have one question here saying, what is the process like at Rishi Hood? So thank you, Nikhil, for that question. Now, at Rishi Hood, it's a 3-step application process. You have an online application that you have to fill in. The online application will capture details of your past academic records. So there is a weightage for your grade 10, grade 12, and graduation scores. Then you have weightages for academic and extracurricular achievements that you need to mention. And please remember, extracurricular achievements does not necessarily mean that you have to mention about sports activities or anything of that sort. You can even mention about certain books that you would have read and what is your understanding of those books. What is the knowledge that you've gained out of those books? Even you can mention that. So that becomes your academic extracurriculars. And then more importantly, you have something called as a statement of purpose. Now, a statement of purpose is a very simple question which says, why do you want to join Rishi Hood? But please understand, this question is the crux for everything, your selection into the B school and otherwise as well, right? So usually in this particular question, it's an attempt to understand, how good you are at writing. Secondly, whatever you've said in your academic records, is it even matching or not? So mention, put down for some time, all of you all who are there on the call, I've shared my numbers. If it's possible, send me a small draft on what are your interests, what are your hobbies, why do you wish to pursue an MBA program in the first place? What is the sort of career goals that you have in mind? If you have nothing, you can just mention that I'm very confused. That is also okay. Guys, confusion is very good because it keeps your mind open. Yes? So go ahead with that. Write down that your SOP is a beautiful version of the same thing. It's a statement of purpose. So you need to mention about yourself. It's an introduction about you. Who are you? So if your name is, let's say, for example, if there is Shahid writing about himself, then Shahid, you must try that I am Shahid and these are my particular qualities. These are things that define me. This is my belief system. I'm an extremely determined person, maybe. And likewise, and then showcase some examples where you have demonstrated these abilities that you're talking about. Mention how you would contribute to the organization, how you would contribute to the institution. So if you become a Rishi Hood student, what is the way in which you will contribute? Why should we take you in the first place? And then finally, what is it in Rishi Hood that you find attractive and why do you want to apply to us? Now, for this, a whole lot of research in terms of the website, in terms of talking to students, talking to counselors, getting to know everything about the institution. All of this is required and you must do that due diligence before writing the SOP. Once your SOP is done, your application gets completed, and post which, if you have an entrance exam score, we do accept scores of CAT, XAT, and MAT. You can apply to us with the MAT exam, you can apply to us with the CMAT exam, GMAT exam, and so on and so forth. And once you've applied to us with any of these exams, you can either, so preferably, I would prefer that you have scores of above 70, 75 percentile in any of these scores. Then you can apply with these exams. If not, if you have lower than 70 percentile, then we have something called as the RSAT, the Rishi Hood Scholarship and Aptitude Test. You can give that to our test first. Once that test is done, then you can move on to the personal interview round where you have an interview with the deans, or you have the interview with the academic council as well as the admissions team where we evaluate you on various parameters. Once the entire process is done, within 1 or 2 days, we'll let you know whether you're shortlisted or not. If you're shortlisted, what is the process? Do you get any scholarships or not? And likewise. And mind you, that every student at Rishi Hood is evaluated for a merit scholarship at the time of application itself. We do give scholarships up to 100%. So naturally, if you are looking at them, please do apply early. We are already on to our second, third rounds of applications. We'll be closing applications by the 13th of March. So please ensure that you're putting in your applications well and you go ahead and pursue that. Okay. All right. I think I'm done with those questions as well. So thank you so much for joining me today. And in case if there's anything else, like I mentioned, you already have my details. Please do reach out to me and we can take the conversation ahead. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.